brings us to the topic of our talk today. One of my most memorable experiences with my headset in the last 12 months was the Under Presents, an immersive theater piece based on The Tempest by William Shakespeare, performed live in virtual reality. Immersive theater is an experimental form of theater that we all know well from real life. But how does theater and storytelling work here in this environment on a virtual stage? This is what we want to talk about today with two renowned experts. I'd like to introduce to you Christina Schollerer. Please come to the stage, Christina. This is one of the initiators of StoryFusion, our co-host for tonight. StoryFusion is a meetup for innovative storytelling in Berlin. Chris is also the founder of the StoryDesign.Studio, where she explores and develops story worlds of all kinds. Since 2012, where is she? Here she is. She is also teaching storytelling at various universities, like, for example, the Karlshochschule. And last but not least, she is also a longtime companion of our VM people's spirit animal, White Rabbit. This brought along a man who has been one of the highlights of our conference, IMMERSIVE X, last November, Dr. Michael Straeubig. Michael is a systems theorist, dramaturge, game designer, and creative coder. As a Marie Curie Fellow at the University of Plymouth, he investigated and designed playful systems. And as a computer scientist with a focus on artificial intelligence, he works and teaches at the intersection of theater, mixed reality, games, and AI. Ladies and gentlemen, inhabitants of all space, please welcome Chris and Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm words, highlight. Thanks. Chris, over to you.
Thank you. Hi. We are very, very happy to be here tonight. I am very happy to be here tonight. I am a co-host of StoryFusion MeetUp, which usually meets in real life in Berlin in digital eatery. But that, as we all know, hasn't been that fortunate for all of us to have live real world meetups in this corner. Our goal is to connect storytellers who are interested and invested in storytelling in innovative forms and bring them together. And we always have a very special guest who gives us a little bit of inspiration in the beginning to start the whole Q&A and the whole networking evening. So tonight we have a very special guest who's also a good friend, has become a good friend since we've created stories and research stories together for the last years as well. Michael Straeubig, Dr. Michael Straeubig. And together with me are Doro Martin and Philipp Zimmermann and Julian van Dieken, who together with me built the StoryFusion team. And we want to say really thank you to Thomas for inviting us, because we've been thinking very hard about how to create a digital way of having our networking event that is not just a video conference or whatsoever. So this is a perfect chance to do so. And evening, for now, I just introduce you to how we plan to include everybody. First of all, we start with a little input by Michael, who gives us an insight into the current state of storytelling and performing in VR. As he is one of the people, well, I think he's really a phenomenon in himself in combining being also a researcher, but also a creator, a very innovative storyteller, and a hacker. So he combines basically everything we need for VR, or what I think a superb person to talk about this topic. And after the quick talk, have a short talk intermezzo, and then we'll open, obviously, we open all the Q&A to you guys because our goal is to connect and discuss with all of you. So yeah, that I would say, let's start. Michael, I give you the stage and it's yours, and tell us a little bit about your experiences with VR and what you've seen lately that fascinates you.
Thank you, Chris, and also a big thanks to Thomas and all the wonderful people from VM people. VM stands really for full, and they have managed to establish VR as an event space, as a space for a social system that you all are part of, which I found really interesting. They started this year essentially starting to experiment with VR, and now we have events in VR, and we feel like a family already. Therefore, I also want to again extend the thanks to the partners who continue to make this event possible, and that Thomas already has mentioned. We want to talk about I want to give a brief input about theater, storytelling, and VR. And some of you who are regular in this event, they might have the question, a little question mark, and say, theater, again, why? Because 2 nights ago, there was a great speaker from Vogdam's agency who comes from theater, Christopher Wert, and he gave an amazing talk about what makes an event successful in VR. And from Christopher, who later to go to make money, I guess, you can take away 5. He gave away 5 points about theater and about events in VR. And I really recommend you to watch it on YouTube if you haven't seen that. And I stole the idea from Christopher, as we do in the creative field. And I will also give you 5 bullet points. So in the end, you will have 10. And I hope with that, we will have a great discussion afterwards, which is the main point about this. Now, I basically want to give 3 examples of the space of possibilities that exists at the moment. And a recent production in extended reality or mixed reality, as we can call it, is the piece Dreams, which was produced by the Royal Shakespeare Company, a very honorable and a long company with a theater company with a very long tradition, and some friends from Marshmallow Laser Feast, who are the most, I would say, innovative and creative people on this planet regarding mixed reality. Also have to mention that I shared a flat with them for 6 months in London in Hackney Wick, and I saw the projects being developed basically, and it's an amazing team. So Dreams, as I want to stress, is a piece that you don't experience in VR or in XR, but that is produced in XR. And I think this is an interesting proposition, that we have pieces that are produced in a mixed reality, but they play out in a 2D screen of your browser window or of your projector at home. Other pieces are played in VR or played in XR or played with augmented reality. So in Dreams, this is like how the production looked like. Is you can see it's a bit what we would call maybe AAA production. I don't know if the people who are in the production would agree. I don't know exactly their budget, but they made they built an own studio in Falmouth not far from where I was doing my PhD. And you can see there's a lot of technology there. There's motion tracking. There is a lot of stuff. They used a game engine, Unreal Engine, to put actors into a virtual environment. One thing about dreams that I liked very much is that I think it's in VR experiences, sometimes it's just not so clean Oculus on the chair, and pre-pandemic not so clean. Now it's a more, a bit more tended after, but you go into VR and you go out of VR, and there's not much thought about the onboarding experience. And here is the onboarding experience for dreams, which was basically a little tutorial before the experience. You were in the lobby of the theater, which was a forest, because it's about Midsummer Night's Dream. And one of the little things, very little things here on the core, let's see, they had a count, and the counter just said how many people are at this moment in this lobby. And these were like 4,000 to 5,000 people, which was one of the challenges of this production, that you play out a production for a high number of attendees. That was also a interactive that they experimented with. But this number alone, many people mentioned this feature afterwards and said, this gave me the feeling of liveness. This gave me the feeling that I'm in a room with many people. It's a little thing, very little thing, but it adds so much to the experience. Second example, which is a bit less technologically, I would say, complex. People who do the production, again, they probably disagree because it's a lot of technical work. It's a piece that was recently staged by the Volksbühne Berlin. It's a theater play, basically, which combined the Oedipus story with scientific, a scientific play about climate change. And apart from that, it was shot in 360. And that means that there was a camera on stage, and as the audience, you were on stage. You were not in the normal classical theater room, but you are in the middle of the action. And they theater play with projections, with actors, with a lot of stuff. And again, here a little bit of an impression. Here you see the 60 camera in the middle, and the action goes around this. And I think this is a fantastic medium if you don't have the full VR experience, if you don't have, if you don't want people to have glasses, you can do a 360 production. You have to carefully design what's happening, and then people can either watch this in a YouTube or Vimeo window, and they can basically advance their viewpoint by dragging the window, or like me. So this is me watching the piece. I was sitting on the floor in my apartment. I had a Google Cardboard on, as you can see, a very low-level VR. I had headphones, and I was moving around on my floor to watch the piece. I was moving my head. I was in the piece, and this was a fantastic experience, because when can you do that in theater? I read a theater magazine today where they said that in theater you should sit, and the thing about theater is that you sit quiet in your seat and look into the stage. But this is one future of theater where you don't do that, where you are free to move, where you are free to choose your viewpoint. I find this very exciting. And that brings me to the question, okay, these productions are big, yeah? There's a lot of people involved, there's a lot of technology involved. Can I do a little bit smaller? And this is where I come in, so to speak, or my philosophy comes in, because it's amazing when a producer like the people is able to ship glasses to people, and to that other institutions like the Theater in Augsburg, which are definitely pioneers of VR in German theater. They ship glasses to the audience, and they had to order more glasses because there was so much demand for that. But what if you don't have that budget? And what if you do a little bit smaller? And so Imperfect VR is an initiative that this is actually a good picture, because it shows a bit the spirit of Imperfect VR. This is after a workshop I gave in London, and I gave a couple of workshops in London, in China, in Germany, about this, where I teach people to build their own VR. And for me, this is also an important point. It's not make people consumers, but also creators. So manifesto, an Imperfect VR manifesto, which says that you put your smartphone in a cardboard, and you see some of these things that this workshop, and they look a little bit together and look a little bit. This is my intention. That you don't have to be a AAA production. We know from games by now there are so many indie games that are, I wouldn't say more interesting, but that are as much interesting as big productions. So I want people to be able to about VR and to build their own place. One of the tools for this is Mozilla Hubs, where you can build your own social VR, go inside and crazy stuff inside and have a time. And it's very low level get into this thing. I want to mention cardboard because it also, the playfulness and the Theatralität in German. That's a very German word. Theatrality. Cardboard itself, you can use it for a playful event for your customers, for example, that you want to invite. Give them some cardboard, put some smartphones in. Some of the tools that you can use. If you want more information about that, come talk to me later. It's basically Mozilla Hubs, A-Frame. The WebXR standard has evolved, and we have possibilities to make the that means no installation of a tool, of an app, no heavy computer needed. You can do it in the browser. And it's fantastic, and I really love it. And I love the also the quirkiness of it. And it's definitely not AAA polygon show, but it's fun. You can even go further and go lower. This is a piece or an approach that I took from artists who did this in 2012 in Berlin. I used it for an event, for a corporate event, because I also have a past in events. I used it for a corporate event, and this is just plastic foil, which has some markers on it. And when you hold the plastic foil in front of your face, this is augmented reality without any technology except for markers and foil. You can do that. You need creativity and fantasy. And this is where I want to come to the end of my talk by giving you 5 short takeaways. So you have 10 if you watch the other talk of Christopher or later, or if you have seen it. My first takeaway is story-driven, and this is means that the story for me comes first, and then comes the medium. I don't start with the medium. I don't say I want to do something cool in VR. I ask what is the story, and the story doesn't have to be a story from a novel or something like that. It can be your personal story. It can be your institution, your company, whatever you want to express and whatever you want to tell about. And the story can also develop during the event. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to pre-produce it. Allow people to write their stories within your story and you will be successful. The second element is liveness. And I already said it is an incredible thing that we feel liveness in VR. We start feeling it. It's an amazing thing, and it makes such a difference to know that you all are in this room, in a sense, even if you are somewhere else. Interactivity is a fantastic thing to play with. It has its own challenges, and as a game designer, I know that, and it's difficult and it's really hard, especially for multiplayer for many people. But it can add, if you add a little bit of interactivity. And then social VR is a Schlagwort. It's a phrase. For me, social means inclusive, and that means that allow as many people inside of your experience can, and dive people into your experience. And this is for me social, and we should use the term in that way in the future. And then memorable, that comes from the other four. And memorable doesn't have to mean that your event was polished, was fantastic. I memorize a few things, a few parties that were really bad when I was there, but I afterwards I can remember them for some reason. They had some quality that at the point of the event I didn't really understand, but later I did. So memorable, make a memorable event. Try to aim high, and yeah, if you succeed, it's great. If not, try again. So essentially, this is my talk. I'm happy now that I will have a discussion with, and afterwards we will open up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks a lot for these inspiring insights and looks into, yeah, what's happening in the VR space. My first question for you would be, you now mentioned these 5 points. Concerning the 5 points, is there any experience, any VR performance that is your absolute favorite?
Okay, this is a bit embarrassing because I will, Tender Clause that was mentioned before is certainly a highlight if you experience it, but my absolute favorite point is the VR piece in the close sense, but for me it was the most memorable virtual experience by a German theater group or a German-speaking theater group called Rimini Protocol, where they built a construction within a theater where we had iPads, and the thing was that the action that we created as an audience or and the action on the iPads was so linked that the virtual space in the iPads and the physical space that we were like running around in mixed in an incredible and astonishing way. So if we take VR a little bit further than the strict sense, then this is my most memorable virtual experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I mean, last year, many things have changed also in the digital turn for many institutions and everything. Theater has been a digital space, but has become a very and audiovisually interesting space in media, new technologies during the last year, also due to COVID, due to performances that couldn't take space in huge cinemas. But do you think what has changed? Is there more acceptance now for VR in storytelling, VR in theater? Do you have you seen any changes concerning that?
There's absolutely a big change has happened, and has happened at the end of this year. I think during the second people really realize that they won't be open for Christmas or soon. I see the theater landscape in Germany is certainly divided between some people who have no, not only no clue, but also no intention to do that in digital because they like, and be a bit stereotypical. These are most older men that were radicals years ago and still put their radical stuff on the stage and think that that is radical, and they don't like experiments. But this is one part. The other part are many people who start experimenting. And like I mentioned, the Stadttheater Augsburg is one of them. There is an Academy for Digitality in Dortmund where there's a lot of experimental digital space. And many of the so-called free theater groups, independent groups, do a lot of stuff in VR, and they push the thing further. I really think there is a big push to mixed reality, extended reality, and these things in the theater landscape.
Mm-hmm. Is there something you are especially excited to see in the future? Something you would say, yeah, that is coming now. You can see that it's coming more and more.
Well, I think we need more experimentation. We just need more productions. During the first experiments with digital theater, a lot of critics were really hammering these productions, and I said it's so bad and it's so it doesn't fulfill theater at all. This is after 1 or 2 months or 3 months of experimentation. I mean, theater is 2,000 years old. Give us some time, for God's sake, and let us experiment and let us see good stuff. Let us see bad stuff. I remember so many bad theater evenings, to be honest, classical ones and also fantastic ones. And this is why I go into theater. I don't want to see the middle. I see good stuff, I see bad stuff. And this happens also with digital productions. And there's no difference in that sense between us. But we need time, we need structures, we need people who are a bit brave, who give some resources and who give some time to make this stuff.
Mm-hmm. That is a very good point. I mean, you are not only working in the VR department, but you are as an artist, as a hacker as well. You also develop the software, working with theaters very closely also for the last years, and especially in the last year. I mean, we talked at basically in this space, but only in the 2D space at IMMERSIVE X in November, about your piece for the theater in Düsseldorf, which was an AI piece where an AI is the director of the piece, and you created that. Now you're working for Theater in Erlangen on a location-based app piece. How do you approach that? I mean, how do you work together with the theaters in that? How does the process look like? Because you say there have to be structures, there has to be an environment which allows to create innovative stuff like that. Are the theaters approaching you? Are you approaching the theaters about that? How does this process work?
Well, I have to mention that the piece in Düsseldorf is has not been finished, and it's kind of in a virtual state, let's call it. I don't call theaters. Maybe I should. Maybe I should call every theater in Germany on the phone and say, "Hey, let's do something." No, it's more a mix of opportunities, and often I talk to people who have a little bit of they haven't done this before, and I offer to consult them and talk to them, and then it becomes clear that they haven't got the budget, for example. That's often a problem, because and also because a lot of this stuff is one-off, and I would rather see more structures, more things that keep for longer time, where a place where we can do these things. And therefore, for me, Imperfect VR is so important, because it doesn't have to be me who does stuff. But I want to help people who want to do stuff and to create their own stuff. So that's actually much more. This aspect is, for me, it's much more satisfactory if I come out of a workshop and 10 people who have never been coding before have made their first own VR in with a cardboard. This is for me. I think this is my future, is to help, to support people to do stuff.
Maybe one last question before we open it to everybody. What would be your advice then to theaters who want to work on something like that? Who want to create an innovative VR piece, for example? What would you advise them to do?
I'm not sure if I would, if they would wait for my advice. There's so many talented people. There's talented people in these institutions. My advice would be to the directors of the theater: let your people play with it. Give them space, give them time, and do experimental stuff. This is so my advice would be to go into the director's room, put my foot on the table and say, let your people go, let your people do stuff. So I think, because the point is, these organizations are hierarchical, and if there's someone on the top, if you're on the top of an organization and you don't understand what's going on, there are two ways to do it. One is to say, I don't understand that, so we don't do it. And this is unfortunately still the case in some places. The other place is to say, I don't understand it. Let's try it. I want to see it. I want to experience it. And this is the way, this is the direction I would like to gently push people, and very friendly, of course, push people into that direction.
Thank you so much, Michael. I think it's time to
Thank you.
Also to get your questions in, because I wanted to ask you first, because I was really wondering about the questions. Liam, would you have the power to make the people speak?
I do. Thank you for that. That was great. It got me curious as well. There's a live performance in here called Agrabah Live that's been running shows. I'm curious if anyone's seen Agrabah Live yet. If you have, I can see some hands up or something. A couple people, I think I see a hand over to the left. Yeah, that's an interesting one to check out. I still need to do that myself.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you have any questions, you have the hand raised or raise hand feature available now. So if you want to just get your questions ready, and I'll come to you one at a time. So we have Trollbot has a question. I hope they're not just trolling us, but I'll put you on megaphone now out there. So you are live now, Trollbot. Where are you? You can speak now, though. You should be able to if you unmute yourself. Trollbot. Anyone see Trollbot? Maybe this was a troll then. The ultimate trick. Trollbot, you are muted, Trollbot. I don't know if you're trying to talk. I can see you now, but your mute's still on, and for some reason it won't let me give you the megaphone. I'll try again. I'll come back to you, Trollbot. Sorry, I'm moving on to Chris. Chris Watts has a question. I'll give you the megaphone, see if this works for you. Could be an issue with the megaphone.
Well, hello.
There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me, guys?
You can hear
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Right. Yeah. My question is about the technologies, and more or less there are two questions. Question number one, it would be, you talked about the possibilities of WebXR. And on my side, I'm a developer quite a while. I'm also trying around with WebXR, and the only really working environment that I could use yet was Mozilla Hubs. Do you have any other experiences, let's say maybe good ones with A-Frame? I don't have too many good ones, where you were able to use that for your theater plays or productions? And the second part of the question is, what do you think about new technologies like volumetric video in productions? Like we saw this virtual production with Unreal. Could you think that those technologies would be usable in a theater play environment?
To come to the second question first, definitely yes, and I'm very excited about these things, because I think we have to in my book we have to get away from the too close definitions of VR, for example. That is a definition that comes from computer science, and we can open this up and we can say volumetric stuff is a virtual and is a virtual experience. So let's do that. Absolutely, all the stuff that is done at this moment is very exciting. To your specific questions about WebXR, I share your frustration, because I've working with A-Frame since 2000, I think 15, definitely 16 when I started giving workshops, and it has been a really painful experience for a long time. But just this year or last year was the WebXR standard that is on the bottom of this slide. Things have improved dramatically, and now there's a much better way to do things. I also regard hubs as the place to go for the moment. If you want to, you don't need to be a programmer. You just create a room and then you explore, and then you can customize your avatar. Then you can customize the room. Then you can put objects in the room. Then you can start thinking, oh, maybe I want to build objects for the room or make the rooms more interesting. Then there's a tool called Mozilla Spoke, which is basically a 3D level editor for hubs. And then you can start thinking, oh, maybe I want to create my own 3D. And then you start messing around with Blender. So it's a journey. It's not something that is done in a day, but you're on a journey, you're on a way, on a path. And so, yeah, hubs for me, absolutely. Tivoli one below is a thing that I find quite exciting. It's also in the spirit of open source. All these tools on the slide are open source. So this is one thing that in this spirit of Imperfect Vr is very important. This is not closed source or corporate or things that try to make money. These are open source frameworks that are done by volunteers, by organizations like Mozilla and others. It's important. Matrix is another thing that goes more a bit on the technical level of connecting these worlds to a metaverse or to a larger space that can host many worlds. And this is on a I think a very exciting thing if you're more a hacker type and want to go really, really deep into the matrix. Yeah. So yeah, there are a couple of tools, and I invite you to just try them out and find your way with them.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Chris. Just going to take the megaphone off you. There we go. Right, I'm going to try. Remember, everyone, to raise your hands. There are no stupid questions. I'm going to try and go back to Trollbot now and see if we can. Oh, no, you're shaking your head. Oh, you don't have a question. Okay, you can take your hand down. I'll take your question down then. There we go. I can see you shaking your head. So yeah, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. You've done well. You've answered everyone's questions already, apparently.
Perfect.
That's perfect then.
So everybody starts developing well. So hopefully.
Yeah, I think Christina stole everyone's questions at the beginning there. So no, took them all. Yeah, feel free to raise your hands. And I'm interested. Yeah, you mentioned Blender there. That's sort of where I spend most of my time, most of my days in Blender.
Amazing. Yeah, that has changed too, quite dramatically as well. become much more pleasant to work with.
Yeah, definitely. Much easier to work with. Oh, I think we have a question. Let me just check. Who have we got? We have Andrea. I'm just going to give Andrea the megaphone and put you on air. There we go. Try and speak, Andrea. We'll see if we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yep,
Yes.
we've got
Yes.
you.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for all this very inspiring content. My question was, how much do you need, like financially and time-wise, to create a world like this and a space like this to start experimenting with people, a crowd, either in the theater or advertising environment or wherever you want to build something? Is there kind of a ballpark that you could give me at hand, having no idea what all this would take?
I'm not my day rate, but with hubs, Mozilla Hubs, you can start right away. You don't need anyone. You don't need me. You can go there and you can start doing it. There's no.
Okay.
There might be coming questions on the way, but I would encourage you. Even if you've never done anything like this before, because this is not this is not a coding environment. You just go into the world, and inside the world you put stuff, and you find your way around.
Okay, so it's like playing Minecraft.
In a sense, yeah, or Second Life, or whatever. You just go inside, and then you will have limitations. You will have hit the wall. And this is then where I think you should ask people to consult and to help you to go beyond that wall. But you can start yourself. It's really a very friendly and welcoming environment to bring a few people in VR, or if they don't have VR glasses, they can access it in the browser window. If they have VR glasses, they can access it in VR. So it's very open. It's very easy to.
Okay. One more question, maybe. Thank you for this. If this is all so easy and also the Oculus 2 isn't too expensive, why do you think are people not really jumping like crazy in VR? Because it's like, I mean, even with COVID now, one should think we should be crowded here, or should be more crowded in the VR world, because it's such a cool thing. Why do you think is it still such a rare experience?
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of reasons, and one reason just popped into my view, and it says the battery on your headset have to connect power. So this is one of the reasons. One of the reasons is this environment is highly fragmented. Facebook has bought Oculus. There is HTC. There other companies that are trying to make money out of it, and unfortunately, it has been a bit a gold rush and a bit a land grab too early before standards could be established, and it's not a good experience. If I go into Steam and I want to buy a VR game, it's like 30 or 40 euros. This is not a sustainable business model for people, and I don't even know if I can buy an Oculus 2 in Europe at the moment. I know you can order them in the United States, but it takes more. And some people don't want to use it because you have to have a Facebook account, and it is a fragmented world. We have to be very clear about that. And this answers your question partially, but it would be a longer discussion.
Yeah, thank you so far. And I go to be charged in a second. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think to add to that, yeah, there is a lot of friction still, but I think that, headsets themselves are flying off the shelf from what I'm hearing in terms of figures of sales, especially with the Oculus Quest. It's just interesting in these different VR social spaces in general as well. quite fragmented as well, with people, you know, trying out different platforms. And it's also interesting to see the age groups that are using different platforms. And people that are actually viewing this as a social networking experience, platforms like Altspace, as opposed to a game. So you're noticing you're getting sort of older age groups in here, older age groups as well. So
absolutely.
And also, Michael, I think it's the same thing we talked about, Michael, after the IMMERSIVE X, and we talked about it at IMMERSIVE X at the conference in November. I guess it's really difficult to imagine the experience we are having now if you haven't had it. So basically, all the advantages feeling right now, it's really difficult, I think, to talk about it and to make people like out there, I don't know where the camera is, but out there in the YouTube stream, to make you really experience the feeling and this amazing feeling of being here with everybody, if you haven't really lived through that. But to experience it, you have to get the glasses to have a possibility to experience it. And I think that's kind of like not so easy at the moment, because there is a level of order in between. Well, I would be interested, but how do I do it, to really experiencing it for the first time and getting to the point saying, oh, it's not that difficult to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an experience thing. And sort of for a while now, I've been working with people onboarding people into these platforms. Sort of I'm working with a friend at the moment. This is not like pitching myself right now, but we're working on sort of virtual reality with art therapy. So we're speaking to therapists, and when we show them sort of examples of what you can do for like art therapy, specifically in platforms like Gravity Sketch and platforms we're testing in, they're like, wow. But the initial sort of getting into that is kind of like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And then when you see what can be done, so it's very experiential, I guess, is the thing. Right. Sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. We do have another couple of questions. Oh, actually, no, Andrea, we've already had yours. We have Christoph. I'm just going to give you the megaphone. There you go. See if we can hear you.
So, okay, working.
Yep.
Confirm.
Can hear you.
Yes.
Now you can hear me.
Confirm.
Great. So, yeah, thanks for the great talk. Imagine we are, or you are the drug dealer of the VR experience. What can we give people to make them addicted? I'm wondering, okay, not so many people, as she said, are buying this headset. It's a feeling, but they are running out of production all the time. So there are so many people buying headsets. Maybe, as Michael suggested, we have to work more with this simple cardboard VR stuff. So what could be, I don't know the English word, Einstiegsdroge, yeah? You speak German, you can understand me. What could be our Einstiegsdroge for VR to make more people addicted?
That's a very good question.
Did we
Kjell,
lose you?
have
You still
you?
there? Okay.
No,
You're back.
a virtual press.
Yeah.
When I heard I had to check if there's somebody outside to arrest me. I didn't get the question. Chris, do you answer? Do you have an answer to the question, or do you prefer to repeat the question to me?
Do you want to repeat your question?
Yeah, I can repeat it. Michael, imagine you are a drug dealer for VR experiences. Yeah. What could be the, I don't know the English term, the Einstiegsdroge you can give to people to make them clients and addicted VR users? So you starting with this cardboard things, and cardboard is very open and inclusive. Do you think we should use cardboard more as Einstiegsdroge? Or do you have another idea? What could,
Yeah. So I think I don't. I would not be a drug dealer, and I would not want to make people addicted. But for one thing, you're absolutely right. It needs. It should be low entry barrier as possible. It should be for people who are not able or willing to spend 300 euro or 1,300 euro or 2,000 euro for equipment. Many people have a smartphone already, and that means they need a cardboard or they need a plastic VR case to start doing that. And the other question, I think on this slide, and this would be someone like Chris, who is coming from storytelling world, is I get addicted in the sense when I start reading a great novel, watching a great film, when I start going to a computer game, it grips me, and I really want to see the end. I want to get over the hero construction. So this would be my answer. Content, as you could call it, or the story, or the Geschichte. That's the most important thing. And this needs a bit time because, like I said, there's a fragmentation, there is technical issues, but we will get there. We're getting better. We are experiencing better and better and better, more diverse production day to day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Christopher. Do we have any other questions? Yep.
Actually, if I can join, a very interesting point, Michael, because remember, like 2013, we were working together on the future of storytelling, the Story MOOC, and you were one of our guest lecturers by then, talking about storytelling as a location-based storyteller. And the whole question of this whole online course was, how does storytelling change from one platform to the other? Are there differences in storytelling? And the funny thing there was as well that all the experts were in common with the opinion that the story is what matters, and the story, if it's driven, and the technology obviously does something with the telling of the story, but the story in itself has to work, and it has to have a hook. It has to hold the audience's attention. It has to pay off the audience's attention. And that's, I just found it funny because we are now in the same loop. It's no wonder, because the platform doesn't matter, the media doesn't matter. If the story is bad, the technology can be something that amazes you very quickly, like a magical trick or something, but it won't last. It won't keep you in this environment, I think. What's your view on that, Liam, Michael?
I totally agree.
Yeah, definitely. I think content is everything. I think the story is everything, and I think, you know, the social aspect for me is what brings me back time and time again. You know, I can if I want to play a game, I can play sort of AAA titles, and I can play titles in desktop mode. But I know I'm in desktop mode right now, so it seems confusing talking about virtual reality. But the social aspect of being in these spaces, and even when it comes to gaming, mini games with the social aspect with it, the element to it. But I think that's very important as well. Marcus is coming up. Marcus, sorry, Thomas even. There we go.
Thomas is coming.
His hand seems to be in front of him. Can anyone else see his hand floating in front of him?
Oh, yeah, it's flying.
Your hand up, there we go.
Thomas.
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for sharing your expertise, your insights, and your experience on theater and storytelling and what's happening in this sphere. Thanks very much to Chris and
It was a pleasure.
to Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And if you got a little bit addicted by this event, by this talk, and if you want some more, you can be back at 10 o'clock here in Area X, where we'll have an after show party with our resident DJ Illuminati. For those who have not experienced yet a party in VR, I guess, at least to my mind, this might be an entry drug. Christopher, this is, I guess, the term that you were missing. An entry drug to getting
gateway,
to
yeah.
VR more often. I can really recommend it. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons I like VR so much. I'm not the biggest party goer in real life, but I somehow got addicted by these VR parties. And if you want to experience that, please be back at 10 o'clock here downstairs in our club. You will find the event in the events section here in Allspace. It is a main event, so you might have no problem to get there. Thank you very much for coming for tonight. Thanks again to our great speakers, and also thanks to Liam. I always forget to introduce you. Sorry for that. You are like, I don't know, you belong to the team, and I always forgot to introduce you. Shame on me.
That's
and if you want to stay here a little bit longer, talk to the speakers, talk to Liam, talk to Thorsten and Björn from the University in Münster about their lab, and see you all again at 10 or on May 6th here for our next X talk. Thanks very much for coming.
Thanks so much for coming, and thanks for the invitation. Very nice to be here. And also see you at the next StoryFusion meetup, hopefully very soon in real life.
I'll unmute everyone now. So,
do you have a date already? No, not yet, right? Next.
No, I was just saying, also very welcome when we are back in real life in Berlin, unter den Linden, to have our next meetup there. And you are somewhere next to Berlin, please come. We'll let you know over the meetup page. And thanks so much for Thomas for co-hosting and inviting us.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot. And Michael, thanks so much for joining. See you.